The spaceship landed softly on the docking platform of station, looked through the small window, and saw the massive space station for the first time. It was bigger than any city he had ever seen on Earth. Lights blinked everywhere. Ships of strange shapes moved in and out like busy insects. He was 23 years old. He had black hair cut short in military style. His body was strong from years of training in the mountains of Korea. He had survived army service, harsh winters, and summers so hot that the air itself seemed to burn. None of that mattered now. He was the first human to enter the Galactic Military Academy. The door of the ship opened with a hiss, picked up his small bag and walked out. The air inside the station smelled clean but strange. It was too perfect, like it had been made in a factory. A robot floated toward him. It spoke in a flat voice. Cadet, human, planet of origin, Earth. Classification, Class 12, please follow me to orientation. Followed the robot through long hallways. He passed beings he had never imagined. Some were tall and thin like walking sticks. Some were round and rolled instead of walked. Some floated in the air without any visible support. Some had too many eyes. Some had no eyes at all. They all stopped to look at him. He heard whispers in languages his translator chip turned into words he could understand. Is that the creature? So small. How did it survive the journey? Primitive species. Probably a mistake in the selection process. Kept his face calm. He had expected this. Humans had only made contact with the galactic community 5 years ago. Earth was considered a backwater planet, dangerous and uncivilized. Most species avoided it completely. The orientation chamber was a huge round room filled with new cadets from dozens of worlds. Found a spot near the back and stood quietly. The beings around him moved away slightly, as if he might be carrying some disease. A being made of living crystal floated to the front of the room. It glowed with soft blue light. I am Commander, it said. Welcome to the Galactic Military Academy. You represent the finest young soldiers from across known space. A holographic map appeared in the air. Thousands of dots represented different civilizations, pointed to various regions as he spoke about the history of the Academy and its purpose. Then the map zoomed in on a small spiral arm of the galaxy. A tiny blue dot appeared with text beside it, Earth Class 12. Laughter filled the room. It started from a group of tall, insect-like beings near the front. Their leader was called. He had a hard shell the color of dark green leaves and 4 arms that ended in sharp claws. His eyes were large and black and showed no warmth. A native said loudly, "How interesting. Tell me, little creature, how did your primitive species manage to build a spaceship? Did you perhaps find one that crashed on your planet?" More laughter. Did not respond. He simply watched and waited. Continued the orientation, but the mood had changed. Other cadets kept glancing at with curiosity or disgust. When the session ended, most of them hurried away from him. One being approached him. It was made of a clear jelly-like substance. Could see its internal organs moving slowly inside its body. It introduced itself as, "I am your assigned roommate," said. Its voice was soft and gurgling. "I hope you do not mind. I requested a human specifically. I find your species fascinating." Nodded, "I do not mind. Thank you for your kindness." They walked together toward the living quarters, asked many questions about Earth. Each answer seemed to shock the jelly creature more than the last. "Is it true that your planet has liquid water falling from the sky?" "Yes, we call it rain. It happens very often." Shuddered, "The impact must be terrible. How do you protect yourselves?" "We do not protect ourselves. We just get wet. Sometimes we enjoy it." "Enjoy it?" His whole body rippled with confusion. They reached their room. It was small but comfortable. 2 sleeping platforms, 2 desks, a window that looked out at the stars. Was waiting outside with 2 of his followers. "The creature has found a friend," said. "How sweet. Tell me, human, what exactly makes your planet so dangerous? Too much sunlight, slightly cold winters. His followers laughed. Set his bag on his sleeping platform. He looked it calmly. Earth has many dangers, he said simply, but I am sure you will learn about them in time. Threats stepped closer. He was nearly 3 meters tall, his claws clicked together. You threaten me, little creature. No, I state a fact. The Academy teaches us about all member worlds. You will learn about Earth, then you will understand. Made a sound like grinding rocks. I understand enough. Your world is classified as dangerous because your species is weak. Strong species come from paradise worlds like mine. Weak species need harsh conditions to force them to evolve. Said nothing. You will fail here, continued. You will prove that humans do not belong among civilized species, and when you fail, everyone will laugh. He turned and walked away. His followers followed. His body had turned a pale yellow color. I am sorry is cruel. His family is very powerful on his. It is fine, said. He began unpacking his bag. Inside were simple things, clothes, a photograph of his family, a small stone from a mountain in Korea. You are not angry? Asked. Looked at the stone in his hand. He had carried it up a mountain in winter when the temperature was negative 20 degrees. He had carried it down again while a storm tried to kill him. On Earth, he said, we have a saying. The nail that sticks up gets hammered down, but we have another saying too. What is it? Smiled slightly. The problem is not the hammer. It is whether the nail breaks. He put the stone on his desk and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, his home, They would learn, they would all learn. The training hall was enormous. The ceiling was so high that clouds formed near the top. Hundreds of cadets stood in neat rows, waiting for their first survival test. Stood at the back with beside him. The jelly creature was nervous. Its body kept changing colors from blue to yellow to green. I have heard stories about these tests, whispered. They are very difficult. Many cadets fail on the first day. Nodded but said nothing. He was watching the instructors prepare the simulation equipment. Commander floated to the front of the hall. Today you will face your first challenge. We will create a holographic environment based on a Class 4 hazard world. You must survive for 1 hour. Use any equipment you need. Work alone or in groups. Begin when the simulation starts. The lights went dark, then the world changed. Suddenly was standing in a rocky desert. The sky above was orange and filled with thick clouds. A strange fog rolled across the ground. The air smelled like rotten eggs. All around him, cadets were activating their equipment. Protective suits sealed around their bodies. Breathing masks covered their faces. Energy shields hummed to life. Stood still. Had formed a protective bubble around itself. Your equipment, the air is toxic. Took a slow breath. The air tasted bad, but he had smelled worse. There was a factory near his that made chemicals. On bad days, the smell made children cry. He started walking forward. Cadet and instructor appeared beside him. It was a being with 4 legs and a body like a horse, but with scales instead of fur. Your protective protocols. Activate them immediately. How toxic is the air? Asked. The instructor checked the device. Level 7 toxicity. Fatal exposure in approximately 8 hours. Then I have time. Kept walking. The ground shook slightly. Cadets screamed and grabbed each other. Some fell down. Their protective equipment activated emergency stabilizers. Bent his knees slightly and rode the shaking like a wave. He had felt earthquakes before. Real earthquakes, not these gentle vibrations. The instructor followed him with obvious confusion. Cadet, the seismic activity. About a 2 on our scale, said. Maybe 2.5. On Earth, we barely notice anything below 4. He reached a small hill and climbed it. From the top, he could see the entire simulation. Most cadets had gathered in groups, hiding behind their shields and filters. Some were already calling for medical help because of panic attacks. Stood with his group near a rock formation. Even from far away, could see that the insect was using the most expensive equipment available. His suit probably cost more than a small spaceship. Something moved in the fog below. Watched carefully. A shape was forming. It was about the size of a large dog, but it had 6 legs and a tail covered in sharp spines. Its eyes glowed red in the orange light. Cadets started running. Their screams filled the air. The creature chased the nearest one, a small being that looked like a walking mushroom. Slid down the hill. He moved quickly but calmly. He had learned to move like this in the army, not running but covering ground fast without wasting energy. The creature caught the mushroom cadet and raised its tail to strike. Stepped between them. The creature stopped. Its red eyes focused on this new target. It was confused. Prey was supposed to run. This one did not run. Made himself look bigger. He raised his arms. He widened his stance. He took a deep breath and made a sound from deep in his chest. It was a low, rumbling growl that he had learned from watching videos of tigers. The creature stepped back. Stepped forward. He growled again, louder this time. He showed his teeth. The creature turned and ran away into the fog. The mushroom cadet was shaking on the ground. How did you? Predator psychology, said. He offered his hand to help the cadet up. Most hunting animals do not want to fight. They want easy food. If you make yourself look dangerous, they look for easier targets. But you had no weapons, no shield. Shrugged, I did not need them. From across the simulation, Park watched with great interest. She was a researcher from Earth, sent to study how humans fit into galactic society. She had a small office in the observation deck above the training hall. She wrote in her notebook, subject shows typical human response to moderate danger. No panic, no excessive caution. Treats Class 4 hazard environment as minor inconvenience. Other species appear genuinely frightened of conditions humans would consider normal. The simulation continued for another 40 minutes. Walked through it like he was taking a stroll in a park. He breathed the toxic air. He ignored the earthquakes. When rain started falling, he simply let it hit his skin. The rain was mildly acidic. It made his skin tingle slightly. He had felt worse from jellyfish stings while swimming in the ocean back home. Other cadets watched him through their protective shields. They could not understand what they were seeing. When the simulation ended, the training hall returned to normal. Medical teams rushed to help the many cadets who had suffered panic attacks or minor injuries. Commander approached, the crystal being studied him carefully. Cadet, you did not use any protective equipment. I did not need it, Commander. The conditions were dangerous. Thought for a moment. Commander, with respect where I come from, we have cities built in places with worse air quality. We have beaches with stronger acid in the water. We have mountains that shake more than this simulation. Was silent for a long moment. Then, fascinating, you may go. Block's path as he tried to leave. That was luck, the insect said. The simulation was obviously adjusted for you, made easier because you are a primitive. You are welcome to believe that, said. I will prove you are nothing special. In the next test, you will fail, and everyone will see the truth about your species. Looked it calmly. On Earth we have insects too, very large ones in some places. We eat them. He walked past the shocked and left the training hall. Caught up with him in the hallway. That was amazing. You were not scared at all. I was careful, corrected. There is a difference between scared and careful. Fear makes you stupid. Caution keeps you alive. But the creature, you had no weapon. Smiled slightly. On Earth, we share our planet with animals that make that creature look like a baby. We swim in oceans with things that have hundreds of teeth. We walk in forests where predators can appear from anywhere. That's simulation. That was easy. They walked in silence for a moment, then asked quietly, "How dangerous is Earth really?" Thought about his home. He thought about typhoons that destroyed cities. He thought about volcanoes that buried towns in ash. He thought about the cold that killed thousands every winter. He thought about the heat that killed thousands every summer. "Very dangerous," he said, "but also very beautiful. That is the thing about Earth. The danger and the beauty are the same thing. You cannot have one without the other." They reached their room, sat on his bed and looked at the photograph of his family. Tomorrow there would be more tests, more chances for his fellow cadets to laugh at the primitive human. He was looking forward to it. 3 weeks passed at the academy, had completed every test without protective equipment. He had climbed mountains in thin air while other cadets gasped for breath. He had swum through cold water that made most species go into shock. He had walked through heat that melted the shoes of beings from cooler worlds. Slowly the other cadets stopped laughing. They started watching him with something new in their eyes, not respect yet, but curiosity, maybe fear. Tonight was social hour. Cadets from all species gathered in the common room to relax and share stories. It was supposed to build friendship between future soldiers who might one day fight side by side. Sat in a corner with. The jelly creature had become his closest friend at the academy, was kind and curious and never judged anyone. "You should join the conversation," said. "The others are sharing stories about their home planets." Looked at the group near the center of the room. Was there, talking loudly about his paradise. Other cadets listened with interest. "Very well," said. He stood up and walked toward the group. The conversation stopped when he approached. Beings moved aside to let him through. No one wanted to stand too close to the human. "Please continue," said politely. "I want to learn about your homes." Clicked his mandibles. The human wants to hear about real civilized worlds. How amusing. "Very well, let me tell you about." He described his with great pride. Had gentle weather. The temperature never changed more than a few degrees throughout the year. The wind never blew stronger than a soft breeze. Rain fell only in certain areas, and it was always warm and pleasant. "The most dangerous thing on," said, "is the occasional strong wind. It can knock over small plants." The other cadets made sounds of sympathy. Strong wind sounded very frightening. An amphibian cadet named spoke next. Her skin was smooth and wet, and she had large eyes that never blinked. "On my world we have tides," she said. "The water can rise almost a full meter during the wet season. We must build our homes on higher ground." More sounds of amazement. A full meter. The danger was unimaginable. Other cadets shared their stories. One spoke of a planet where it occasionally got cloudy. Another described a world where the ground sometimes vibrated slightly due to underground rivers. A third told terrifying tales of insects the size of a hand that sometimes entered homes. Listened to all of this in silence. His face showed nothing. Finally turned to him. "Now, human, tell us about your famous. What terrible dangers do you face? Slightly cold mornings, occasional fog." The mockery in his voice was clear. Thought for a moment, where should he begin? "We have volcanoes," he said. "Blank stares. Mountains that explode," he explained. "Inside the planet there is rock so hot that it becomes liquid. Sometimes it breaks through the surface. The liquid rock destroys everything it touches. The ash fills the sky and blocks the sun. The heat can melt metal." Silence. "We have thousands of these volcanoes on Earth. Some are under the ocean. When they explode underwater, they create new islands. One of them destroyed an entire civilization thousands of years ago. We are not sure it will not happen again." Sweat skin had gone pale. "These exploding mountains, they are rare, yes. They happen perhaps once in a lifetime." "About 50 volcanoes explode every year," said. Someone made a sound like choking. But that is not the strangest part, continued. Some volcanoes do not throw hot rock, they throw ice. We call them ice volcanoes. The pressure builds up underground and then frozen material shoots into the sky. He looked around the room. You have ice volcanoes on your worlds too, right? No one answered. No seemed genuinely surprised. What about earthquakes? When the ground itself shakes and breaks apart, buildings fall down, the ground opens up and swallows things, mountains collapse. The ground breaks. His voice was very small. Yes, it happens thousands of times every day on Earth. Most are small, but some kill many people. We had one not long ago that triggered a tsunami. What is a tsunami? Someone asked. A wave, a very big wave. The ocean rises up and crashes onto land. It can be 30 meters tall. It destroys entire cities. It happened in my country's neighboring region. Many people died. The room was completely silent now. Even had stopped clicking his mandibles. Was confused by their reactions. He was only describing normal things. We also have hurricanes, he said. Storms so large they can be seen from space. Winds that move faster than transport vehicles. They pick up houses and throw them. They last for days. We give them names like they are alive. You name your disasters, whispered. Yes, we also have tornadoes. Spinning columns of wind that touch the ground and destroy everything in their path. They appear with little warning. We have seasons for them. Tornado season. A season. You have a time of year specifically for deadly spinning wind. Nodded. Also hurricane season, and monsoon season, and wildfire season, and flood season. They sometimes overlap. He thought for another moment. Oh, and the sun. What about your son? Had entered the room quietly. The Crystal Commander was listening with great interest. It tries to kill us. We can only be in direct sunlight for limited time or our skin burns. Long exposure causes a disease that kills many people every year. We have to wear protective substances on our skin. But we go outside anyway because we enjoy sunshine. You enjoy something that causes deadly disease. Yes, we also swim in the ocean even though it is full of creatures that want to eat us. Some of them are very large. Some have poison. Some can kill with one sting. We swim anyway. Finally found his voice. This is exaggeration. No species could survive such conditions. Your planet would be lifeless. Pulled out his personal device. He projected images into the air. First, a volcano exploding, throwing fire and ash into the sky. Second, an earthquake splitting a road in half. Third, a tsunami crashing into a coastal city. Fourth, a hurricane seen from space, covering half an ocean. Fifth, a tornado touching down in a field. Sixth, a shark with rows of teeth swimming in blue water. Seventh, a box jellyfish, small and transparent and deadly. These are from Earth, said. This is what I grew up with. This is normal for my species. The common room was silent for a very long time. Finally spoke, how are you alive? Considered the question seriously. We adapt, he said. We survive, we rebuild. When a disaster destroys a city, we build a new city in the same place. When a creature kills a person, we study the creature so we can avoid death next time. When the world tries to kill us, we find ways to live anyway. He turned off his device. That is what a makes. Not weak creatures who need protection. Strong creatures who have faced death every day for millions of years and refuse to die. He walked back to his seat next to. Behind him, the conversation did not resume. Cadets sat in stunned silence, trying to understand what they had just learned. Stared at the floor. His mandibles did not click once. That night, the Galactic Military Academy database recorded an unusual event. Over 200 cadets had accessed files about Earth within a single hour. None of them slept well. 3 months had passed since arrived at station. Things had changed. The other cadets no longer laughed at him. Some avoided him out of fear. Others watched him with something close to wonder. A few, had become genuine friends. Even had changed. The proud insect no longer mocked humans openly. He still did not like, but his dislike had turned into something that looked almost like respect. They were not friends, but they were no longer enemies either. Park continued her research. She had filled 3 notebooks with observations about human integration into galactic society. Her reports were sent back to Earth regularly. The governments of humanity were very interested in how their first galactic soldier was doing. It was a normal night when everything changed. Was in his room, reading about the history of the galactic military. Was practicing meditation, which for a jelly creature meant floating in a perfect sphere shape. The alarm was the loudest sound it ever heard. Red lights flashed everywhere. A voice announced, "Emergency, hull breach in Section 7, atmosphere venting. All personnel evacuate to safe zones. This is not a drill." Immediately formed into a protective ball and rolled toward the door. "We must go to the safe zones." Was already moving, but not toward the safe zones. He was putting on his boots and jacket. "What are you doing?" asked. "Section 7 is near the thermal regulators. If those fail, half the station will freeze within hours. People will die." Finished tying his boots. "I am going to help." "That is what emergency teams are for." "Emergency teams will take time to organize. Time costs lives." He opened the door. "Stay safe, go to the evacuation point." He ran into the hallway. The station was chaos. Beings of every species were running toward the safe zones. Some were crying. Some were screaming. Some were frozen with fear and had to be carried by others. Pushed against the flow, moving toward Section 7. He passed Commander, who was directing evacuation. The crystal being called out, "Cadet, what are you doing? Go to the safe zones. Someone might need help in Section 7. The emergency teams will handle it." But was already gone. The corridors became emptier as he got closer to the breach. Emergency doors had sealed off most of the section, but found a maintenance access tunnel that was still open. The designers had assumed no one would be foolish enough to go toward danger. They had never met a human. The tunnel was cold, very cold. Could see his breath forming clouds in the air. The temperature was dropping fast as atmosphere vented into space somewhere nearby. He reached Section 7 and found the problem immediately. A small hole in the outer hull, probably caused by a micrometeorite that had slipped through the defense grid. Not big, but big enough. Air was rushing out with a screaming sound. And 2 maintenance workers were trapped. They were small beings about the size of children with thin arms and large eyes. Their species came from a warm world. They were already in cold shock, unable to move. Did not hesitate. He pulled off his jacket and wrapped it around the smaller of the 2 workers. The cold hit his exposed skin immediately. It burned like fire. He picked up both workers, one under each arm. They weighed almost nothing. The journey back through the tunnel was the hardest thing he had ever done. The temperature kept dropping. His fingers went numb first, then his arms, then his whole body. Every breath felt like swallowing ice. His lungs screamed for warm air that did not exist. He kept walking. The cold was nothing new. He had trained in Korean winters. He had climbed mountains in snowstorms. He had fallen through ice into frozen lakes and climbed out again. This was colder, but cold was cold. You survived it or you did not. He was halfway through the tunnel when he heard footsteps coming toward him. Park appeared around a corner. She was carrying emergency thermal blankets and oxygen masks. "I saw you on the monitors," she said. Her voice was calm despite the situation. "I thought you might need help." "You should not be here." "Neither should you." She wrapped one of the workers in a thermal blanket. "But here we are." Together, they carried the 2 workers out of the tunnel. Emergency teams were finally arriving, and they took over immediately. Medical officers surrounded the workers and began treatment. Then they looked at. His hands were white with frostbite. His lips were blue. His body was shaking so hard he could barely stand. His core temperature had dropped to dangerous levels. "How are you still conscious?" the lead medical officer demanded. "Your body temperature is below survival threshold for most species." His teeth chattered as he tried to smile. "Korean winters. This is maybe April weather." They took him to the medical bay. Warming blankets, hot fluids, careful treatment for his frostbitten fingers. Stayed with him the whole time. "You are either very brave or very stupid," she said quietly. "On Earth, we say there is not much difference." She laughed despite everything. "The workers will live, you saved them." Anyone would have done the same. "No," shook her head. "That is the point. No one else did. Hundreds of beings on this station, and you were the only one who ran toward the danger." The door opened. Commander entered, followed by an immediately rolled to his bedside. "You are alive. I was so worried. The report said someone had gone into Section 7, and I knew it had to be you because no one else would do something so crazy." Stood awkwardly near the door. His mandibles clicked softly. "I saw the security footage," said. "You manually triggered the emergency seal on the maintenance tunnel before you carried the workers out. You closed the breach with your own hands." Had almost forgotten that part. His fingers had been too numb to feel anything by then. "The regulators are safe?" he asked. "Yes, because of you." Moved closer. "The cold in that tunnel was beyond what most species can survive. The medical officers say you should be dead. Your body should have shut down long before you reached safety. Humans are stubborn." Clearly, turned to leave, then stopped. "Cadet, thank you. You saved 2 lives today and possibly many more." After the commander left, finally spoke. "Why did you do it?" Looked at the insect. "What do you mean?" "Those workers. You do not know them. They are not your species. They are not your friends. Why did you risk your life for strangers?" It was a genuine question. Was not mocking him. He truly did not understand. Thought about how to explain. "On Earth," he said slowly, "we have a concept. We call it humanity. It means caring for others simply because they exist. Not because they are useful. Not because they can help us. Just because all living things have value. Even enemies. Even enemies. We have many wars on Earth, many conflicts. But we also have rules about war. We protect civilians. We care for prisoners. We help even those who fight against us if they are wounded." Was silent for a long moment. "My species does not have this concept," he finally said. "We protect only our own hive. Others are competitors, threats, resources." "Then perhaps you can learn it," held out his bandaged hand. "We could teach you." Stared at the offered hand. Among his species, physical contact with outsiders was extremely rare. Slowly, carefully, he reached out one of his clawed hands and touched his fingers. "Perhaps," he said, "perhaps I could learn." Made a bubbling sound that meant happiness, smiled. Outside the medical bay, word of what the human had done was spreading through station. Cadets who had laughed at 3 months ago now spoke his name with respect. The human had faced death again. And again death had lost. The graduation ceremony filled the grand hall of station with beings from 300 worlds. Flags and symbols of countless civilizations hung from the high ceiling. Light from a nearby star streamed through massive windows. Stood among the graduating cadets. His uniform was clean and pressed. His back was straight. His face was calm. 1 year ago he had arrived as a curiosity, a primitive from a something to laugh at and dismiss. Today he stood as an equal. Floated beside him, body shimmering with pride. They had remained roommates for the entire year. The jelly creature had learned many things about humans. Most of all, It had learned that first impressions are often wrong. Stood nearby with his fellow. The proud warrior had changed much in the past year. He still did not smile because his face could not make that shape, but his mandibles clicked in a rhythm that had learned meant contentment. Park sat in the observation section with other researchers and dignitaries. She had finished her study. Her report would be sent to Earth soon. It contained many important findings about human integration into galactic society. But the most important finding was simple: humans belonged here. Commander floated to the front of the hall. The crystal being glowed with formal colors of ceremony. Today we celebrate the graduation of a new class of galactic soldiers, began. These cadets have trained together. They have struggled together. They have learned together. They will serve together. Images appeared in the air. Scenes from the year of training, cadets climbing mountains, swimming through difficult waters, fighting in simulations, studying in classrooms. Then new images appeared: Earth. Not the pretty pictures from tourism advertisements, the real Earth. A hurricane spinning across an ocean, swallowing ships and destroying coastlines. A volcano exploding, sending fire and death in all directions. An earthquake splitting a city in half, buildings falling like toys. A tsunami rising from the sea like an angry god, crashing onto land with impossible force. The audience watched in stunned silence. Many of them had heard stories about Earth, but seeing it was different. 1 year ago, continued, we welcomed the first human cadet to this academy. Many of us questioned this decision. Humans come from a class 12. We assumed this meant they were desperate survivors, clinging to existence on a hostile planet. More images: Earth's predators, sharks with endless rows of teeth, bears with claws like knives, snakes with venom that killed in minutes, jellyfish so small you could not see them until their poison stopped your heart. We thought we understood what meant. We were wrong. Now the images showed humans. Humans climbing volcanoes for fun. Humans swimming with sharks. Humans building cities in earthquake zones. Humans running toward disasters instead of away from them. Humans laughing in rainstorms that would kill most species. Humans living in deserts that were hot enough to cook food. Humans living in frozen lands where exposed skin died in minutes. The classification was not exaggerated, said. If anything, it was understated. Earth is one of the most dangerous planets ever discovered. Its weather kills millions. Its predators are nightmares made real. Its ground itself cannot be trusted. The Crystal Commander turned to face directly. And yet humans do not merely survive these conditions. They thrive. They play in their deadly oceans. They climb their exploding mountains. They build homes in the paths of their deadly storms because they enjoy the view. Pause to let the words settle. When danger struck this station, most of us followed protocol. We evacuated. We waited for emergency teams. We did what we were trained to do. Cadet ran toward the breach, not because he was reckless, not because he was trying to prove something, but because where he comes from, confronting danger is simply normal. Protecting others, even strangers, is simply expected. Wipe something from her eye. It might have been a tear. We have classified thousands of worlds in our history, continued. We thought we understood the galaxy. We thought we knew what dangerous meant. The images changed one final time. A simple picture of Earth from space, blue and green and white, beautiful, deadly, home to beings who treated death as a daily companion. We were wrong. We did not know what a truly was, and we certainly did not know what kind of beings such a world would produce. Extended a crystalline appendage toward. Cadet stepped forward. Walked to the front of the hall. Every eye was on him. In recognition of your exceptional performance, your courage during the Section 7 emergency, and your example to all cadets, you are hereby promoted to the rank of lieutenant. You are also awarded the Silver Star of Valor, the highest honor this academy can give. Placed a medal on his chest. It was made of crystal and metal, shaped like a star surrounded by a ring of light. Welcome to Galactic Civilization, Lieutenant. Welcome to Galactic Civilization, humanity. The applause started slowly. Then it grew. Beings who had laughed at humans 1 year ago now stood and clapped and made sounds of respect in dozens of different ways. Bounced with joy, clicked his mandibles faster than ever before. Stood at attention, but inside he was smiling. After the ceremony, there was a celebration. Was surrounded by cadets and officers who wanted to shake his hand or touch his arm or simply stand near him. He accepted their attention politely. Found him near the refreshment area. "Lieutenant," the insect said formally. They stood in silence for a moment, then made a sound that had never heard before. It was rough and strange. "I am trying to laugh," explained. "You taught me about human humor. This is my first attempt." Smiled, "It needs practice." "I know," his large eyes focused on him. "I was wrong about you, about humans. I apologize." "Accepted." "Will more humans come to the academy?" "Yes, I am only the first." "Considered this." "Good. The galaxy needs beings who run toward danger. We have spent too long running away." He walked off to rejoin his fellow. Rolled over next. "You did it. You really did it. You showed them all." "We did it together," said. "You were my friend when no one else was." The jelly creature glowed with happiness. Approached them, she was smiling. "I finished my report," she said. "I told them that humanity will do well in the galaxy, that we have much to offer, that they should send more of us." "What else did you tell them?" She looked at him seriously. "I told them to be careful, because the galaxy is not ready for what we will become. They think one human is impressive. Wait until there are thousands of us, millions of us." Nodded, he understood. Humanity had spent all of history fighting to survive on a world that tried to kill them every day. They had grown strong, stubborn, impossible to defeat. Now they would bring those qualities to the stars. He looked out the window at the galaxy spread before him. Billions of stars, countless worlds, endless possibilities. He said, "Have I ever told you about Australia?" "No, what is Australia?" Smiled. "It is a place on Earth, a continent. Everything there tries to kill you, the snakes, the spiders, the jellyfish, the plants, even some of the trees are dangerous." His body turned pale yellow. "That sounds terrible." "Humans live there. They think it is wonderful." Turned away from the window. "When more humans arrive, remind me to tell the instructors about Australia. I want to see their faces." Made its bubbling laugh sound. Outside, the stars waited. The galaxy stretched on forever, full of wonders and dangers and mysteries. And humanity was just getting started.